Speaking of killing people, we often hear from the pro-gun right that it doesn't really matter if a lone wolf aggressor, a lone wolf killer, has or doesn't have a gun, that if they want to kill people, they'll be able to kill people. And we have yet another story that tells us that isn't true. A 14-year-old Canadian girl has been charged with 15 criminal offenses after 9 people were injured following a mass stabbing that she went on at a Pickering, Ontario high school just east of Toronto, Canada. The student was charged with assault, 6 counts of assault causing bodily harm, 7 counts of assault with a weapon, and possession of dangerous weapons. The incident took place early in the morning as students were headed to class. School officials say that 9 were injured, 6 were students, 3 were faculty, nobody serious. According to Durham Regional Police Sergeant Bill Calder, quote, all of the injuries right now are minor in nature. 4 have gone to the hospital to be treated for minor injuries. Lewis, evidence here, more evidence that when you don't have a gun, even if you go on a rampage, you're not going to do as much damage. A mass stabbing leaves 0 dead and 0 seriously injured. How can you deny that?
Well, that is true. I mean, I will say that we're talking about someone of not great physical stature here.
Okay.
And so I would say that maybe if you had someone bigger and stronger going on a knife rampage, they could deal more damage.
But there's a counter argument to
hold
that.
on. That being said, we covered a story quite a while ago where a full-grown man did enter a school,
right,
stabbed maybe 20 to 30 people, and no one died. And so I think ask anyone who says that knives are just as dangerous if they would rather get attacked by someone with a knife or with a gun. I think the answer is going to be very clear.
There's no doubt about it whatsoever. It is a great thing that she didn't have a gun here. If this was the same sort of unbalanced individual showing up with a gun and starting to haphazardly fire in a way equivalent to how she was haphazardly stabbing people, there would be drastically different results. So where I end up, Lewis, is we need to dispel with this notion that having a gun makes no difference in terms of how deadly these lone wolf attacks can be, regardless of whether the attacker has a gun. We know quite accurately that not having a gun drastically reduces the death toll and injuries, and in this case, it reduced it all the way down to a few people with minor injuries, and for that, we should all be incredibly grateful.
I agree, and I think that if you are on or around this person, you are probably more likely to act and try to take them down if it's just someone with a knife as opposed to running for cover from someone who has a gun, which I think is the most common reaction.
This is a key point as well, which is on 2 fronts. If you are a bystander and you see someone wielding a knife rather than a gun, your opportunity to interject yourself into that situation is probably going to be greater. And number 2, it's also more clear when we hear about, oh, if there's a bad guy with a gun, you want a good guy or many good guys with guns to stop the situation. Well, the second good guy with a gun to get involved now needs to figure out in a crossfire which is the good guy with the gun and which is the bad guy with the gun. A situation like this with a knife is far, far clearer because you also don't usually see people with knives take them out in self-defense in a public situation like this. It makes everything just far more easy to understand.
Yeah, definitely. So, what else can we add? Yeah, let's try and keep guns out of the hands of maniacs, and they'll have access to knives, but we're not going to stop that.
Gamefly is sort of like Netflix for video games. They have over 8,000 new and classic games for Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS4, PS3, Wii, and a bunch of other platforms. And you can play as many games as you want for 1 monthly fee. And if you find some games you want to keep, you can buy them for a low used price. There's never any due dates or late fees, and our audience can get a free 30-day trial at gameflyoffer.com/TDPS. The games are shipped directly to you with return envelopes included. There's no contracts, and you can rent games through the mobile app. Get the free 30-day trial for the David Pakman Show audience and support our show by going to gameflyoffer.com/TDPS.